Hey everyone, this is Prince Watercress, and welcome back to Let's Play Superboy 3. In the last episode, we made our way through rounds 5 through 8, and we're finally out of those fortress areas, at least for now. And best part about rounds 9 through 12, which we're going to be covering shortly, the faces that act like the Dragon Coins from Super Mario World, they're back. And because of that, we are able to get a few more lives here, and definitely have enough to beat the game with. So, without further ado, let's begin. We begin round 9 with some easier platforming compared to rounds 5 through 8. We do have Koopas, but we also have a new enemy here, the Paratroopers. They're white instead of red or green. And whenever you hit them once with a jump or a fireball, they just turn into a regular green Koopa, and you can just take them out like you would all the other Koopas in the game. It gets a little easier for now when you hit round 9, but round 9 through 12 I kind of find the hardest part overall at this point, because you will be taking advantage of the practice time to, well, get used to the platforming and trying not to lose any power-ups that you have. You might also may have noticed a checkerboard platform earlier. Those things will fall when you land on them, so you definitely want to be careful and you want to make your move very quickly once you land on them. And I use the higher Koopa over there to get rid of the lower Koopa, and then eventually landed on the Koopa I used to get to those blocks and got a Fire Flower. You definitely want power-ups in the second half of the game, because quite frankly, stuff gets even harder from here, especially with the boss, and I'll explain why in due time. And we're getting really close to the boss itself, and once you fight the boss, once you get behind it, it will turn around very, very quickly. As soon as it notices that you're behind them, it will turn around, and if you're too close, you may get hit by a fireball that you will have no time to avoid. This is why I'm not really a big fan of the second half of the game, as well as rounds 9 through 12 in general. Because round 10, you're going to be dealing with loads of bottomless pit areas again. The whole stage is just one big bottomless pit. Thankfully, the Dragon Coins, or the faces that act like the Dragon Coins, start appearing again in round 9. So therefore, you'll be able to get a ton of lives, even if you die every so often, like I'm about to here. Yeah, I really thought I could get behind them and then jump on them, but apparently that wasn't the case there. And of course, I'm taken all the way back to the beginning of the stage because I didn't make enough progress there. You will definitely be practicing this level quite a lot. If it's not because of the paratroopers bouncing towards you or the Koopas themselves, it's definitely making your way to the boss, because again, the boss gets smart enough to know that you're behind him and he reacts accordingly. I also would advise against using the paratroopers that just go up and down, the white paratroopers, the stepping stones, because, well, it's not really going to work, and I'm also not going to hit any of these blocks from underneath either, because, well, I'm probably not going to make it back to a platform at that rate. I'm only going to grab for stuff if I know that I can actually get it and not die. And there's also going to be enemies in the way here too, but if you're patient, you should be able to get past them. And you definitely will if you want to get a Fire Flower and take care of the enemy here. Getting close to 10 lives. I told you we'd be getting quite a few lives in this area. We finally hit 10 lives. You also get to see the red Koopa there too. So that's a thing. Also, when you make it to actual solid ground, you finally get rewarded with a free life. So at least the game isn't that bad at this point. You may be dying a couple times, but you'll probably be getting quite a few lives if you keep dying at the boss here. And I somehow just managed to take care of the boss there, despite being really close to him. You definitely don't want to be too close if you're behind him. Round 11, we have even more bottomless pits, and this time we have pipes for platforms. Sadly, we can't use any of them as shortcuts because the game wasn't programmed to do anything like that. Then again, neither were Superboy 1 and 2. And if you see any Koopas, you definitely want to take them down. Kind of funny how you can get them trapped in pipes though, because they just flew right into the soles of your feet and then just turned into Koopas, and they didn't have any place to land, and they happened to be in the pipe at the time, so there you go. I like the fact that the game actually handles scrolling better. It's not as bad as the first two games. And from what I've done in terms of recent research, unintentionally, because I managed to find like a bootleg Wikia page on it in the bootleg games Wikia, turns out the game has faster load times on MSX. So that's a good thing. So at least they actually tried to improve on the first two games. But it still ends up being like kinda average-ish. I forgot to mention those platforms that expand and contract there. You definitely want them to land in where the center block is every time. Otherwise, you will definitely be falling into a bottomless pit, and that's something you definitely don't want to do here. The game is also generous with the Dragon Coin face at this point. So even if you die a couple times, if you can make it to the final checkpoint, you should be able to get quite a few extra lives, even if you lose a couple lives to the boss. And we can finally get those 2 Dragon Coins, or faces, and we can finally get on dry or solid ground and get even more Dragon Coins here. I'm already up to 15 now. And like always, you want to be very careful with the boss here, because, again, the bosses get smarter when you hit the second half of the game. And we are finally on round 12, where we have even more platforming here. Checkerboard platforms act a little differently here. They do move you back and forth. There's one problem with it though. You will be taken off the center of the screen. You actually have to recenter yourself manually before you continue, which is something I definitely recommend doing, because you're not going to have time to react to stuff if you're just right of center. So as soon as you can find a series of blocks to get on top of, that's when you want to do it. And you're better off going under these blocks, as I find out, because it is possible to get on top of them and then run that way, but you're going to have a hard time getting on top of them, and you'll probably launch yourself right into a bottomless pit while you try. I've only done that one time, and I could never really figure out how to repeat that. Thankfully, the moving platforms here aren't that much of a nuisance, and you have plenty of times to recenter yourself. And that was a bad time to do that, obviously. I don't even know why I thought I could reach those blocks. I obviously couldn't. But we're pretty close to where we died anyway, so it's not going to be that much of a problem getting to the boss at this point. And thankfully, there are very few enemies in the platforming parts with the moving platforms anyway. And I probably won't be getting a Farflower here, but that's alright though. As long as I have an extra hit, I should be good against the boss. And we are finally on solid ground, so now it's time to take down the boss. Just repeat the same things you did in rounds 9 through 11, and hopefully you shouldn't have a problem here. And that's it for rounds 9 through 12. Join me next time where I go through the final 4 rounds of the game. Until then, this is Prince Watercress. Take care, stay safe, and thanks for watching!